Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're exploring 10 video game mods that became full games. Did you play any of these mods before they became full games? Which was your favorite? Reminisce with us in the comments below. Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Counter-Strike. By far, one of the most famous and successful video game mods is Counter-Strike. The original FPS has received a number of sequels, and it became an esport pioneer almost immediately after release. But it has humble beginnings. It was designed as a mod for the original Half-Life by Min Lee and Jess Cliff in 1999. The pair went through 5 betas before gaining enough popularity to catch the attention of Valve. Valve was so impressed that it offered to buy the IP and hire them to continue working on it, which they accepted. Now, it's one of Valve's most well-known franchises and an online shooter juggernaut. Team Fortress Classic. Counter-Strike is far from the only successful Valve game based on a mod. The original version of Team Fortress was released as a mod of 1996's arena shooter Quake. Valve caught wind of it and liked what it saw, hiring designers John Cook and Robin Walker. The duo then ported the game as a mod for Valve's own Half-Life, calling it Team Fortress Classic. It was a pretty unique shooter for the time, coming with 9 character classes, all feeling unique. It went on to receive a sequel that many believe to be one of the best multiplayer FPS titles of all time. Gary's Mod. In 2004, programmer Gary Newman began modding Valve's Source engine, primarily through Half-Life 2, as a side project. Little did he know this side project would grow to become his most important work. Gary's Mod is a physics-based sandbox game with little to no objectives, just a fun playground for players to experiment in. After a few updated releases through 2005, he was contacted by Valve for a commercial release, which launched in 2006. It became increasingly popular as any player could include their own modes, some of which, like Prop Hunt, have been adapted by other developers. As of writing, Newman is currently developing a sequel that we cannot wait to play around in. DayZ. There was nothing quite like DayZ when it launched in 2012, which says a lot considering it's an FPS. A mod of Arma 2, it was an open-world, multiplayer survival game that plopped you in the middle of a zombie apocalypse with almost no resources. It gained 1 million players in its first few months, increasing sales of the original game. This naturally made Arma developer Bohemia Interactive very happy and very curious. The studio hired the man behind it, Dean Hall, with plans to develop a full game. While the alpha version was released on Steam in early access in 2013, the full game wouldn't launch until 2018. Chex Quest. Now here's a weird one. In 1996, General Mills sought to reinvigorate Chex cereal sales by including a PC game in boxes. That game was Digital Cafe's Chex Quest, a total conversion mod of the groundbreaking Doom. id Software agreed to sell a license of the game's engine relatively inexpensively due to it being outdated. The result is a non-violent, incredibly silly shooter that actually played pretty well. People liked it so much, in fact, that it got 2 sequels, a mini-documentary, and an HD remake in 2020. That's pretty impressive for something that started out as a marketing stunt. Killing Floor. Unreal Tournament 2004 is an awesome arena shooter, deservedly winning some multiplayer awards from several outlets on release. So it's no surprise that someone decided to mod it. First released in 2005, Killing Floor was a total conversion mod that put players up against waves of mutated monsters called Zeds. Tripwire Interactive, then only known for the first Red Orchestra game, approached lead developer Alex Quick about porting it to their game. But only when Killing Floor's user base started to shrink did he agree. The full version was released in 2009 on Steam, quickly becoming a top seller. It received a sequel in 2016, which upped the ante in terms of violence and horrific creature design. The Stanley Parable.
Entering his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
The Stanley Parable is one of the most narratively interesting games of the last decade. Its emphasis on the player's level of interactivity within the story is phenomenal. It actually began life as a mod for Half-Life 2 in 2011. Designer Davey Redden saw how most AAA narratives simply had the player go through the motions and was inspired to create something different. With no prior experience, he combed forums and wikis on Valve's Source engine. His work paid off, as the mod became immensely popular within weeks after launching. Afterwards, he and fellow designer William Pugh worked on a revamp for 2 years, which was released to wide acclaim.
Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you.
Dota 2.
All's well.
Blizzard's first StarCraft launched with a custom level creation tool, which led to a now iconic level, Aeon of Strife. With a similar but improved mode in Warcraft 3 Reign of Chaos, modder Kyle Sommer created Defense of the Ancients in 2003. In it, teams were tasked with destroying structures of their opponents while defending their own with customizable heroes. To say that it became popular is a severe understatement. It spearheaded the creation of the MOBA genre and has been featured in multiple tournaments. Valve purchased the IP in 2009, leading to a successful sequel in 2013 that has far surpassed the original in popularity.
A twisted path.
The Forgotten City.
Salve, friend. I'm Galerius. Mind telling me who you are and what you were doing in the Shrine of Proserpina?
The Forgotten City is a fantastic game, but one that definitely took a toll on its creator. Nick Pierce began work on the mod almost immediately after the release of its foundation, 2011's Skyrim. The mod, which took Pierce around 1,700 hours to develop, released in 2015 to high praise. The following year, Pierce formed his own studio to turn it into a full game. It took 4.5 years, with Pierce often working 80-hour weeks to avoid crunching his team. Many elements of the mod were significantly changed, from the setting and plot to the addition of an original score and voice acting. It's honestly one of the most stunning mod achievements we have ever seen.
If you're reading this, it means I've discovered the entrance to an ancient Roman city hidden deep underground.
PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. It's strange to think that the Battle Royale boom began with a mod. Brendan PlayerUnknown Green got started by modding another mod, DayZ, giving it a Battle Royale mode named after a 2000 Japanese film. Green believed that most shooters became too repetitive with small, easily memorized maps and wanted to create something less predictable. After his DayZ mod, he began modding Arma 3, which would eventually turn into PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. It may not be the most popular battle royale around anymore, with multiple studios churning out various versions with and without FPS mechanics. But Green's work is still a monumental moment in gaming that kicked off a widespread subgenre.
Check out these other great clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.